Okay. I start all my videos with okay, but this is another video. It's a long time since I've actually done one of these, but I felt that now would be a good time to do it, mainly because made significant progress. Part of the progress that has been made has been behind the scenes. There's been a lot of work getting data set up for storing what I've been calling the MDS, the Master Data System. This is data that is non-changing. It sets the basis for everything else in the game to define things like commodities, stations, sectors, jump gates, and things like that. Creating that database, populating some sample data, and then creating a framework through which we can move that data into the game. That's actually taken up a lot of time, mainly because I'm used to working with databases, but working with data in a game system is significantly different than attaching it to a business application. In a business application, you simply take it from the database to the UI with a little bit of intermediate manipulation for checking and such. Maybe a little bit of massaging and manipulation, but pretty much it's not overly complicated. But when you get to a game, you have to take that data, move it into the application, and then you need to have the data drive the application itself. So there's a lot of things that go on in the game that can only happen under certain data conditions, or not happen during certain data conditions. So I've been working on that a lot, going back and forth, creating things, trashing things, rebuilding things. And then once I managed to get that working, I needed to have some kind of a UI in order to visualize that data to ensure that it was coming out of the database correctly and that I could get a hold of it, different data aspects when I needed them, as quickly and as rent-free as possible. So I had to come up with a UI in order to do that, and although it's not a finalized UI, it is workable. It's about 75% of the way there, at least for one particular aspect of it. And then I went back and I reworked some of my Playmaker machines in order to accommodate the new UI for the ship. For the station. So what we have here in the scene menu is the capsule, which is my station. It represents my station. This green sphere around here is the docking listener, and then we have our ship over here. From earlier videos, the ship will fly into the docking sphere. We'll get a prompt, and if we choose to utilize the prompt, we will then quote-unquote dock with the station. So let's just take a look at what it plays like. So here's our ship. Again, we've got Playmaker handling our movement for our pitch and roll, and using the left mouse button we can activate the engines to move forward. So now we're outside of the sphere around the capsule. So once we enter the sphere, you'll see that we get this message, press F to dock. So we can actually go ahead and leave the sphere and we lose that menu. Or once we come back into the sphere from any direction, we'll get the menu again. So this UI is actually using the Daikon Forge UI package. Super simple. We'll take a quick look at that. But for now, if we hit F to dock, we're going to get what is the main menu of the station. So this is just a generic banner. We have some buttons here, an undock button here, which will send us back out, and a news panel, which will show us news once we get the news system going. A couple of things to note. This Earth Alpha comes from the database. This is not hard-coded. This is associated with this particular instance. This ID1 station right here is named Earth Alpha. So we're taking it out of the database and assigning it to this label here, Earth Alpha. These buttons also are enabled or disabled based on whether or not we have these services associated with this station. So right now we don't have a shipyard, a bar, a manufacturing center, or a warehouse. However, we do have a commodities market. So again, from the database, when we determine that this station has the commodities market, we activate the button. The other ones haven't been dealt with yet. So when we click commodities market, what we've got here is a list of 3 items which come from the database, and these are associated with this particular commodity shop at this particular station in this particular sector. Again, going back to the data. So we've got a name on them. We also have a quantity at this station in this station shop's inventory object, which is how we store items on everything. And the price here is actually calculated. Right now it is based on a formula that takes into account how many units the shop you're looking at right now has on hand. And it's keyed so that as the quantity goes up, for selling, as the quantity goes up, the price will go down, because they want you to, take the inventory off their hands. But the fewer units they have, the higher the price. So you would go to a station where they have a lot of something for a low price, buy as much as you can, and take it to a station where they have a little bit of those, and where they're actually buying and selling each of those. So, buy low, sell high. Over here we have our details panel. So when we click on the details button, we're transferring the data from the data object over here. So this placeholder icon is going to be the representation, the icon for the item. Again, we have our name and we have a description, which is specific. You don't get to see it here, but if you want to get more details on it, we've also got our units available, and we also regurgitate our price. Now, what we've got down here is a panel which this part isn't quite working yet, so this is the other 25% I need to get working. But right now this is the quantity here, so as you move the slider, the quantity will increase. This is the reflected price, how much it's going to cost you, basically to multiply this times this to get this, so you'll know how much you're spending. We've got 3 buttons down here. We've got space, cash, and purchase. Now, the limiting factor when you go to buy something is going to be twofold, or threefold technically. You can only buy as much as they have on hand, but you can also only buy as much as you can fit in your cargo hold, or you can only buy as much as you can afford. So you'll be able to hit the space button, which will automatically send this, set this quantity to the maximum amount of items that you could buy to fill up your cargo hold, the space you have left on your ship, assuming you have enough money. If you hit cash, it will buy basically as much as you can afford, assuming you have space. So the two may end up being the same. The two may end up being significantly different, but they're shortcuts essentially to say, I've got tons of money, just give me as much as I can afford. In which case, it would, you could use the space to just fill up the hold, or you could say I've only got so much space, just give me as much as I can hold. This meter over here is going to represent your cargo. It's going to be a little kind of a progress bar. So you'll have how much you've used out of your total, and as you slide this over, we'll also have the progress meter fill up, so that when you get to the end, ideally, this will stop, and you won't be able to buy any more. So the space and the cash buttons may not be needed. We may just limit the upper bounds of the slider to however much, either how much you can afford or how much you can fit into your cargo hold, in which case we may say, you're green up until the point where you reach the maximum of one or the other. In which case it would turn red to say, hey, you don't have enough space, if space turns red, or hey, you don't have enough cash, if cash turns red. And then once you've selected the quantity, you hit purchase. We'll transfer this quantity out of this inventory container, put it into your player inventory container, and we will debit you the price amount. So once you've gone ahead and you've done all of your shopping, you can go ahead and go back to the main menu if you want to go to the shipyard or the bar, what have you. You can do that. But once you when you want to undock, you're still here. So now you'll be able to just go ahead and leave the station. So that's as far as I've got right now. For a few things that we can look at, we have the, let's see, space station right here, the station trigger sphere. We're going to, let's see, let's get Playmaker up here if I can figure out. Oh, it's in my other window. So, all right, let's get this out of the way. All right, so one of the things I actually had to redo was the Playmaker state machine, because before we would enter the trigger, and the trigger would then take care of, the enter trigger would send us off in 3 different directions, either when we enter, when we exit, or whether we stay in the trigger. And I realized we didn't need to have that stay in the trigger. The original thought was that while you're in the trigger, we need to show that press F to dock menu. But then I realized, no, we don't. Once you enter, we display the menu, we display the press F to dock. Then we need to get rid of it once you actually dock. But then we need to bring it back when you undock, and it wasn't quite working so well. So this time, once you enter the trigger sphere, we sit here and do nothing. This is simply just a way station. When this passes through, essentially through this state to the docking prompt, the docking prompt displays that press F to dock. And if you press F, we raise the on docking to get to the docked state, in which case we turn off your ability to control your ship, because you're using your mouse pointer for other things now. We also want to activate the station main panel, and we want to deactivate the docking prompt. So we don't want to show that show F to dock because you've docked, but we do want to show the main menu for the station. And then finally what we do is we listen, we integrate with the Daikon Forge GUI to listen for our undock button. And this state machine now sits here and does nothing. We actually pass control on to other things. Other things are listening for other activities. But when we hit the undock button on the main station main menu, we raise on undocking event, and we close the station UI. We activate our spaceship again, and when that's done, we simply go back to the docking prompt, which we've already hit, and we display the show F, press F to dock. And the player can either press F to dock, in which case we'll go around again, or it will listen for exiting the trigger, which is the sphere around the space station. When we do exit, we'll hide the docking prompt because we are now outside of its sphere of influence. And when we're finished, we'll go back to idle. So that is a significant revamp, and it runs pretty smooth. So I was very pleased with that. The next thing that I wanted to just show was the Daikon Forge and how that works. So what we need is our hierarchy, which is down here. Okay, so the Daikon Forge, I tried GUI, and there was a lot of overhead that needed to be done to get the things done that I needed to get done, most notably the scroll panel. You didn't actually see it in this demo, but the item list in the commodities window is actually a scroll window. You can actually, if there was enough items in that list, you could actually scroll up and down through them. So that's pretty good. Actually, if I can get it to run, let me just do one really quick demo here. I had tried working on a data editor for the let's see. Yeah, we don't save. I've been working on an item editor for the database, because right now I have to use a third party, and working with the database is okay, third-party application, but it doesn't quite give you the visualization that you need for complex relationships between the data. So what I have here, and if I can get it to work, let's see, let's move the game up here. This is a good idea. Okay, so this is Daikon Forge. Here's our game object. So this is what you see when you're in the game. This is a scroll panel with a scroll bar, and down here we have what was going to be our editing window. When you look at this, actually, we will go here. So this is represented as an actual object in the scene editor. So it's all drag and drop. If you're fed up with the built-in Unity UI system, this is fantastic, because you can simply just click and choose Add Control and select from anything that you need, and it will add it here, and it's very intuitive. The one thing that I needed, like I said, was the scroll panel, and GUI wasn't doing it. You had to actually create two different cameras and have two different sections. This simply allows you to add some items, just as a, let's see, where is it? This is the scroll bar item list, and this is the scroll panel item list. You can just add items to as a collection into here, and it will essentially take care of itself. So let's see if this will work. Actually, you know what? It won't work. Yep, because I messed it up. Importing things around, importing the data around, I kind of messed things up. But as you could see, in the screw up here in the scene, all of these items here. So now we've got iron, aluminum, copper, lead, zinc, nickel, tin, gold. All of those are pulled from the database. So that provides us with the scroll that we needed. So we're just going to we're going to ditch that. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. I don't say. Okay. So here within this the actual main scene, we have a couple things. We have our docking prompt, which is currently inactive, but we'll activate that and we'll go take a look at it. So here is our frame, and as you'll notice, this is where it shows up. If we go to the main menu, activate the main menu. So here's our main menu. Again, you remember this said Earth Alpha. So this is the station name, and these are our buttons, which are currently all active. So we deactivate them essentially as we don't need them. Once we are done with the main menu, we can come to the commodities panel, and this is essentially what it looks like. We've got our scrolling list box here, our scroll bar here, which if we had scrollable items would be important, and we have all of our placeholders here, for example. So for looking at this this slider here, essentially what this is a slider control, and you set the background and you set the thumb, and then all you have to do is use it just like you were doing a desktop application. You can see right over here we have a value, and if you slide the value, the thumb will move, so you can actually watch it go in real time. So you can actually do some pretty good debugging. So I'm very impressed with the Daikon Forge GUI package. So that is essentially where I am at this point with the space station, with the project. I still need to get the rest of the commodity market running, because I want to be able to move items to and from a store into the player's inventory. So I need to finish that up, the buying and selling, and then I need to create a player inventory interface so that the player can see what they're doing. I also need to come up with a buying interface, and I need to create another instance of another station in another sector. Here's our dummy jump gate. So once we buy from this station, we will fill our holds with as much as we can carry, and we'll head through the jump gate to Sector 2, where we will go to the space station in that sector and sell off our items, hopefully for a profit, and also need to test the modification of the pricing based on the quantity for each one. So once we have that down pat, then it will, I'm not exactly sure what comes next after that. I guess it's just a matter of picking and choosing. Most everything will center around primarily docking at a station, buying items, going to another station, selling items. That's kind of the core of it there. After that, then, I've got other components I can throw in, conversation systems, quest systems, adding in things like harvesting. I have to work with the crew. I have to figure out something to do with combat. A whole bunch of stuff. But so far, progress is being made daily, so everything is running along quite nicely. So again, thanks for watching. Keep an eye on this space, and hopefully I can have another update relatively soon.